welcome to So Easy with Shelby and Gabbie. I'm your host, Kay Stewart, and I want to thank you for coming back and looking at my page. If you haven't done so, make sure you hit the subscribe button here at the bottom so that you don't miss any of the weekly videos that I'm going to be posting. Today, I'm going to be doing a pencil skirt, and this is a great beginner project. If you are just beginning your sewing career, or you're sewing, or you're picking up your machine after years, this is something great to start with. It's pretty easy. I'm going to give you the quickest way you can do it. We can get this pencil skirt done in less than 30 minutes, and I'm going to show you how. So the first thing you want to do is you want to grab you at least about a yard or a yard and a half of fabric. Stretch fabric is the way to go. You don't have to worry about zippers or buttons. It's really manageable and easy to work with. If you're a beginner sewer, you want to look for a lot of stuff that has stretch in it. If you're using patterns, of course you want to follow the instructions on the back of the um, on the back of the pattern. Like, you'll see they have instructions. They'll tell you what kind of material you should get and all of that. But if you aren't using a pattern and you're trying to do something self-drafted, this will probably be a great project to begin with. So you want to get about a yard of fabric. A yard of fabric will go up till about an extra large. If you're anything over an extra large, you want to get about a yard and a half. So the first thing we're going to do is you want to grab your tape measure, and we're going to go around your waist. And you're going to take your waist measurement. My waist measurement is about a 30 and a half. That makes it comfortable where it can actually move. This skirt is actually going to be form fitting, so that's the only measurement you're going to need is your waist. What I'm going to do is, and I have this fabric here that I purchased during my last fabric haul, and it's really nice. It's almost reversible, but this isn't going to be a reversible skirt because I really like the way the design is on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it inside out, wrong side facing, and you're going to put your sewage edges there, like that. I'm going to fold it in half. Now remember, I said that my measurement was 30 and a half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the fold of my fabric like this. Put it on the table. I'm going to get some weights just to hold it down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tape measure, and you want to make sure that you give yourself enough room for error. So again, my measurement on here was 30 and a half. So what I like to do is to make sure you have the right size. I like to take 30 and a half, and then I take my tape measure and I put it down here. So that's on 30 and a half. So now, oops, sorry, 30 and a half is right here. So now this is how much you're going to need to use when you're on the fold. If you were doing your skirt straight out, then you want to do the full 30 and a half. But remember, you want to add an inch on that because you're going to need room for seam allowance when you're doing that. If you're going to use a serger, you're going to need room to make sure that you can serge it. So again, I'm doing mine on the fold. This is going to be the back seam of my skirt. So I'm going to take my measurement here, and I have my tape measure. Move the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. Now this is my folded edge here. So I'm going to take my tape measure and I'm going to put it on the fold, and I see that it stops here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mark with my tracing pencil. I'm going to make a mark right here. This is actually where my waist stops. But again, I told you, you want to give yourself some room because you have to have seam allowance. So I'm going to give myself an extra inch on the fabric. So I'm going to go to 31 and a half. And again, I'm going to use my chalk and I'm just make a mark right there. You can see the mark is right there. So now you have to figure out how long you want your skirt. I know I want my skirt to be about knee length or right under my knee. So what you do in that situation is you want to get your tape measure and you want to hold it where your waist is going to start, and you want to go down to where you want it to end. For me, it's 23 inches. So again, because I know we have to have room for seam allowance, I'm actually going to go a little longer than 23 inches. I'm going to do 24 inches. Now, on my skirt, I want a high waist. So I'm going to add an additional 3 inches to the top of my skirt. So I was going to go at 24, so now I'm going to go to 27, and I'm going to make a mark. I'm going to mark it right there. Okay, so once you have those marks, you want to take your ruler and you want to go straight across. Just like that. And then you want to do the same thing on this side. You want to go down from that mark where you had from your waist. And you want to go all the way down until these two meet. Until this mark meets this mark. Just like that. Now, again, this skirt is going to be form fitting. If you don't want your skirt to be form fitting, you want it to be looser, then you want to add more inches to the side. If you want your skirt to A-line or flare out, then you want to take it and you're going to draw that out so that it does that. But again, I'm just going to do a basic pencil skirt. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this up. You're going to cut it all the way out, just like that. So what you end up with is this. This is what you end up with when you cut it out. And remember, this is going to be your center back. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some pins and we're going to pin it together. Just like that. So next thing you're going to do is you're going to go over to your machine and you're going to sew down here. And remember, we have the seam allowance. So you want to have a 5/8 seam allowance all the way down the side. And then if you have a serger, go ahead and serge the edge off. If you don't, you can do a zigzag stitch. That'll keep it from fraying and anything else. And I'll be back and show you the next step after this. Okay, welcome back. So now, as you can see, I went ahead and I've sewn down my center back. And I also went ahead and used my serger for a nice clean edge right there. See that? So, what the next thing I'm going to do is we need to create a casing for your waist because we're going to add some elastic. So again, we're on the wrong side. Now remember, I said I wanted my waist to be kind of high. I want a high waist. I want it to be about 3 inches long. I'm using 1 inch elastic. So what we're going to do is I'm going to fold down. I'm going to fold it over like this. And for my skirt, I'm going to fold over 3 inches. And the reason I'm going to fold that over is because that is the width of my skirt that I want it to have. So this is when you want to use um, your sewing gauge. Okay, here we go. So you want to grab your sewing gauge right here. If you're ever wondering what that's for, it's great for hems. So I'm going to go down 3 inches on here. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to just make sure that I have 3 inches here. Fold it down. Once I get to 3 inches, I'm going to take a pin and I'm going to pin it. And you're going to do that all the way around. Like I said, you want it to be 3 inches. I'm going to take it and I'm going to pin it. use as many pins as you want or not any pins at all, if that's totally up to you. If you're a beginner, I would suggest you use as many pins as possible. But again, you just want to make sure that when you use your sewing gauge that it's giving you 3 inches all the way around. And this fabric is pretty good because it's actually laying down. So even though I've hit it, everything is pretty much 3 inches already. So I'm going to sew this, and I'm going to keep on to this side because again, I want to make sure that everything is nice and straight. You don't want anything uneven because then you'll wonder why your hem isn't working or your hem is taking so long to get together. And sewing is about patience and taking your time because once it's done, you're going to be able to wear your own clothes and be able to rock it. So again, I'm just pinning all the way here. And the reason I'm doing all of this pinning is one, so that you can see it, and second, because my waist is going to be a high waist, I'm going to have to almost do like a double casing. So the first thing I'm going to do is when I go to the sewing machine, now that I have 3 inches all the way around, because this is how high I want my waist to be. So when my skirt is on me, this is going to be the waist part. But remember, I told you my elastic is only 1 inch. So that means there's going to be either space on the top or space on the bottom. I rather have the space on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my sewing machine and I'm going to make a seam all the way around about 1.5 inch, and then I'm also going to finish off the bottom edge. So I'm going to go to my machine and I'm going to make 2 sewing lines. The first one is going to be here, about in the middle at 1.5, and then I'm going to do one at the very bottom, which is going to finish it off. And the reason I'm going to do that is because once I put my elastic in my waist, I want the elastic to bunch at the top, not at the bottom. Because if you do it at the bottom, it's almost going to make your fabric on the top bow out. But if you do it up here, it's going to make everything cinch, and then this part is going to cinch automatically because of the elastic. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my machine and I'm going to go down about 1.5 inches. So if I was using my sewing gauge, I would start here, about 1.5 inches is here. So from here, I'm going to make a casing right here. So from that mark all the way around, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a casing. I'm also going to leave the casing open so that I can pull my elastic through. And I'm also, like I said, I'm going to finish off the bottom edge as well. If you have a serger, go ahead and finish off the bottom edge, and that way it'll be easier to lay flat. And again, I'm going to do it with my serger. So when I come back, you'll see exactly what's the next step. Okay, so I went to my machine, and as you can see, I finished off my edge with my serger. And as you can see, I've sewed 1.5 inches all the way around. And because I've also left an opening, let me get to it. I left the opening right here, about 1/2 inch or 1 inch, so that I can put my elastic through there. Once I have my elastic casing in, I'm going to close off. I'm going to sew it together. I'm going to close off this, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish across this edge. Now I'm using a thread that you can't see, and that's what you want to use anytime you're doing a project. You want to make sure you have some type of fabric that you can't see. So I'm going to show you the next thing to do with your elastic. So remember I told you that my waist was 30.5 inches. So what you want to do is you want to take your elastic. This is the best way. People measure it, but I think it's best to do it this way. Because when you put it on yourself, it's almost fail proof. So this is how much I would have to cut off if I was just using my elastic. This right here. But of course, because I want it to cinch a bit, I'm going to cut off 2 inches less than that. So I would have cut there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up 2 inches from there. And I'm going to cut it there. Just like that. Cut the left. Now, you want to take your band, put it back around your waist. And as you can see, they're not touching. And that's what you want because you want your waistband to cinch. You want it to hold on to you. And see, it's holding on to me and it's not too tight. And you want to be able to do that inside your skirt so that your skirt pulls and keeps it together. So again, I did 2 inches. Some people do 1 inch, but I think 2 inches has always been good. Because when I do something less than 2 inches, I always end up going back and cutting off more elastic. So I'm going to use 2 inches. What you want to do is you're going to get a safety pin. And I don't know where mine is right now, but I'm going to find one for you. Ooh, excuse me. Okay, so I have a safety pin. And you want to use like a large size safety pin, because what we're going to do is we're going to use the safety pin to guide this elastic through the skirt. So you want to take it through here, just like this. And you just want to move that safety pin all the way around. And you want to make sure you don't get it twisted, because sometimes as you're pulling this through, your elastic can twist inside, and you don't want to do that. That is so bad. And you're out and you have on a nice outfit and the elastic is twisted inside. And you also want to watch that other end, because remember, it's shorter, so we don't want it to get sucked up into this hole as well. But again, I'm just working my way all the way through with the elastic. I'm going past the center back. And this sometimes it gets a little rough right here because you have all that extra fabric from the seam. But don't quit. Just take your time and go ahead and get it through. It'll come on through. There you go. Ooh, see? Got it through there. And I'm just working my way all the way through here. All the way through. I don't know if you can hear that airplane, but I'm not that far from Andrews, so. And even today on the way home from work, I got pulled over. Well, not pulled over, but there was a police uh, escort coming through. So maybe they're doing something at Andrews. Maybe it's Trump. I'm not sure. So as you're getting to this edge here, you want to just go ahead and grab the safety pin and your elastic. As you see, it's coming through. There's your elastic. And you want to grab it on the other end, just like this. And again, it's still nice and straight. And you want to take it over to your sewing machine. And you're going to do a zigzag stitch right across there. Okay, so again, you're going to take your two pieces. You're going to lay them on top of each other like this. We're going to set it for the zigzag stitch. And you're just going to run over it a couple of times with the zigzag stitch so that it stays in place. I'm going to do a back stitch, go back forward, I'll do a back stitch, and then we're going to be finished. And you want to cut your threads. And then cut your threads. So now that we have that in place, the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and work this through the material. And as you can see, we have it through the material. And this is our center back. And when you look on the inside of it, this is what it looks like. Your elastic is right inside there. So the next thing I'm going to do is, because I'm almost going to have like a double casing, is I'm going to go down and I'm going to finish off this bottom edge. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to close up this hole right here where I used for us to get into the elastic. So I'm going to close that up first. I'm going to take the zigzag stitch off. So again, I'm going to go ahead and close this up. So we're going to put that under the machine like that. And we're going to close it up. Now that I have that closed up, like I said, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to finish off the casing from my skirt. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to sew right across on top of this edge all the way across so that it lays flat. Okay, once that's finished, you want to cut your threads. And then the inside of your skirt is going to look like this. Sorry. The inside of your skirt is going to look like that. The bottom is finished and there's your elastic. Let's show you the next step. Oh, the next step you want to do is you want to put your hem in your skirt. So while we're here at the machine, we're going to go ahead and throw our hem. Now, I didn't serge this off because I'm going to do the double fold on it, so I don't have to. But as you can see, it's kind of raggedy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my scissors and go across the edge that's not smooth. And you always want to do this on a flat surface. I'm just doing this for video's sake. But I just want to make sure that everything is nice and smooth and it's easy. There you go. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to fold it over once. And then you're going to fold it over again. About a ½ inch each way. And then you're going to go and you're going to sew very close to the edge right there. All the way around. And again, you can use pins, but because I've done this so often, I'm not really using pins, but you're definitely more than welcome to use pins on that so that it keeps in place. But because again, I've been doing this so long, I kind of know how to get it. But again, you want to make sure that you're getting very close to the edge. Okay, now we have our elastic encased in its closing, and we've also finished off the bottom of the edge. It'll give you a nice little finish to your skirt. I've also put a hem at the bottom. What you want to do, you want to take this over to your iron and give it a good press. And you're all done. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thanks for watching.